Hate bears, as we can see in his hand, he has Leonin Arbiter, which is good enough for me. Here is a turn 1 Noble Hierarch off of a forest. Good start. Hate bears against Counter Company, pretty interesting. I'm trying to think of what bears it gets to fight with. Leonin Arbiter doesn't really do anything to Court of Calling unless he's courting for the second half of his combo. Whether it be the Devoted Druid or the Vizier of Remedies. Because once he has those two in play, he just makes infinite mana anyways. So it doesn't really matter what he does. So there is an Arbiter in hand that he can cast this turn. He's also drawn Collected Company for next turn. And I believe he has a couple of Pride Mages in his hand as well there. Josh going to start by attacking for 1 here. Jesse going to have no blocks. Down to 18 he goes. And sure enough, there is the Leonin Arbiter. So Josh will take a point of damage from his Brushland and fall to 19. So Leonin Arbiter, the first of the Hate Bears to come down here. Very strong card. Players can't search libraries. Any player may pay 2 for that player to ignore the effect until end of turn. So fetch lands get turned off. Court of Calling gets turned off for Jesse here. Did anything else get turned off? I don't think anything else in his deck gets turned off by this, but very strong effect. Can really punish a greedy mana base that requires a lot of fetch lands to rely on their mana being fixed. So here is a Noble Hierarch, and there's a Pass of the Turn. Also works really good with Ghost Quarter and Path to Exile, which the Hate Bears deck typically plays multiples of. So here comes an attack for 3. Jesse's going to go ahead and say no blocks. Down to 15. 3 mana for Josh here. Doesn't have a 4th land, unfortunately, it looks like. He's going to have a Mirran Crusader. So, Mirran Crusader, protection from black and green, is going to make that a real difficult card to answer. However, Jesse does have the answer thanks to Path to Exile, and Josh's own Hate Bear being used against him, as he is not able to pay to search for that basic land. Jesse untaps and draws a Verdant Catacomb, so at the moment, his 2 lands in hand that he has access to are a pair of fetch lands. So a little bit awkward with the Arbiter in play. But Jesse can just take a turn off here. The rest of his hand isn't very exciting. He has enough mana on field that he can pay for the effects, the tax there. So it's not really the worst case scenario. Okay, so there is the Verdant Catacombs, and it looks like we're going to have a Kitchen Finks come down. The mana, again, right now, isn't really a big issue here for Jesse. He's got 2 of his mana dorks. He can even play a 3rd, which he's going to go ahead and do. So mana is not a concern. His hand at the moment is an Eldrazi Displacer, along with that 2nd fetch land, a Windswept Heath. Josh untaps and draws. Again, does not find a land, however, so is still taken off that Collected Company mana. But here comes an attack for 4. Josh does play the Qasali Pride Mage pre-combat to get that Exalted bonus. So another pseudo-esque Hate Bear. This one not as hating as the Qasali, or as the Arbiter, I should say. This one really just there to destroy artifacts and give a little bit of a boost thanks to Exalted. So Jesse does have no blocks, falls to 13. The draw for the turn was a copy of Ronus the Indomitable. This is a card that Jesse was not playing on Sunday. This is just an instant win once you have infinite mana. At the moment, the Ronus can't attack or block, but it's still a big threat on its own. Josh does play, of course, Path to Exiles. His hand right now, however, is Voice of Resurgence, locks it on Smiter ×2, and a Collected Company. So at the moment, not really in the best spot, but So there's that second fetch land for Jesse. So he will be able, if he likes, to pay 2 mana to be able to fetch away with both of those lands on Josh's end step. Jesse rather is going to go ahead and play out a copy of Eldrazi Displacer. No mana at the moment to be able to use that. In fact, he doesn't even have the colorless mana requirement to even use it in the first place. He is playing Brushlands, and I don't know if he's playing any Caves of Koilos. He may be, but I doubt it. So there is the 4th land for Josh, a Plains. So Collected Company is now available to him, which I imagine is probably where you're going to see him go this turn. It's an interesting matchup. It's just a grindy creature matchup on both sides, but Jesse has the inevitability almost of a combo. It's not always inevitable, but Ronus is a pretty good body. So we're going to have a block here from Kitchen Finks, and it's going to just absorb the 4 damage, gain Jesse some life back once it comes back from the graveyard. Josh is going to just go ahead and pass the turn, and sure enough, we're going to pay 2 mana, and we're going to sacrifice some fetch lands here. So Josh is going to respond here. He's going to go ahead and fire off his Collected Company. So we're going to have a look at some cards. There's a Noble Hierarch and a Mirror Crusader amongst them. There's actually 2 Mirror Crusaders in there. So, again, a fairly strong creature in this matchup. The only issue getting in its way now is that Eldrazi Displacer. So, again, at the moment, though, Jesse doesn't actually have the colorless mana to use that Eldrazi Displacer. So, not fully able to get on blocking duty here, but he can block and take care of one of the Crusaders. So he does have that option, but at the moment, nothing else under his control is able to block those Crusaders. And the 2/2 double strikers are quick to close out games when they combine like that. So the draw was a basic forest, not at all what he's looking for here. We may just see Ronus come down. There's no real reason not to. Josh, he doesn't know, obviously, but Josh does not have a Path to Exile in his hand at the moment. Could find one potentially at some point, but at this time being, nothing he has to worry about here. So Jesse here thinking what he wants to do with his turn. Again, he is at this point staring down that pair of Mirror Crusaders, which, yeah, those are not good for a green deck to see across the table from them. All right, so Jesse decided not to play Ronus. He's just going to pass the turn back. Again, at the moment, he is missing the ability to activate this Displacer, so we're going to send in with, it looks like, just 1 Mirror Crusader. And that's thanks to the Exalted. So this is going to go ahead and make it a 4/4 double striker. Jesse is going to just go ahead and take that damage. He will fall to 5 thanks to that hit. Josh will follow it up. It looks like with a Thalia Guardian the Thraben. Yes, it is. So there we have another tax effect put into play. 2 more mana here. Voice of Resurgence comes down. So Josh will fall to 17. And we're back to Jesse. Jesse looking for something. Vizier of Remedies is half of the combo, but he's missing the other half of it still. Doesn't currently have the Devoted Druid. And at the moment, also has no way of finding that Devoted Druid. With just a Ronus in hand, it's not really going far. All right, so we played the Vizier, and we're back to Josh again. Josh now thinking what he wants to do here. Again, there's only one blocker available at the moment for a Mirror Crusader, so he can attack with both and ensure that he gets 4 points of damage in. Or he can attack with just one, like he's going to do here, it looks like. He's going to force Jesse to trade away, or not even trade, but chump block away his Eldrazi Displacer. And yeah, Jesse is forced into blocking. He has no option here. Only creature that can block, and if he doesn't block, he just dies. So under the bus it goes, and Josh is set up now that he is able to win next turn, thanks to the pair of Mirror Crusaders. So he'll just put out, for good measure, a copy of Loxodon Smiter. Jesse drew a Collected Company. Is that enough? So he has to pay 3 extra for this Collected Company. So 3. I think he has. Oh, he has. He has enough to go get the Druid, but it doesn't have haste, so he can't start the combo right away. Oh, so it's true. Sorry, Vizier can also block. That's right. I forgot about that. Vizier of Remedies can also block block the Mirror Crusaders. It is a white creature, of course. So, oh no, Jesse has more than enough mana because the Cordes Convoke. All right, and we're gonna pass the turn back. We're gonna play the Ronus out. This is Jesse potentially trying to set up the win next turn. I don't know if he'll be able to do it or not, though. He gets to Cord for the Devoted Druid, so he pays 2, pays 3, and then he has to pay. Well, actually, the way it works out, Thalia's extra 1 just gets paid into the Court of Calling, so he gets to get a 2-drop no matter what. If I'm not mistaken, that's how Cord works with extra taxes on top of it. But Josh is going to go ahead and just ship the full team in here. He's going to send in with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attackers. Jesse currently has 6 blockers available. Actually, only 5 because Ronus, again, cannot block at the moment. There needs to be another creature with 4 or more power in play. And at this time, there is only Ronus himself. And he does not count himself, of course. He could pump up the Kitchen Finks and make it large enough, but that would take Jesse off of Court of Calling mana. And sure enough, he is going to go ahead and scoop things up here. We're going to head to a game 2 with Jesse on the play. Yeah, Mirror Crusader, that is a card. It seems like a pretty solid choice right now, with there being so much focus on counters or like counter company decks like this. Now, and with that being said, this past weekend at Vegas did kind of show a different story. The top 8, with half of it being Affinity, and that's we were talking about it, and every now and then Affinity just takes off, and that's because people kind of ease up on their sideboard answers for the deck, and just kind of stop packing much hate for it. Affinity is very, very easy to sideboard for, but the cards you're sideboarding in are typically slanted towards Affinity and Affinity only, or just artifact-based decks. And with that being the case, once you kind of ease up on your Affinity sideboard options, it really opens the door for Affinity to kind of come busting. Because if you're not prepared for Affinity, it'll just steamroll you. That's what the deck's meant to do, and that's what the deck does. So, Josh going to take a look here at his sideboard. There is a copy of Gaddock Teague there. I have to imagine that's coming in. It stops Court of Calling. Does it not stop? Read him here. Yeah, like Teague should come in. It also stops Collected Company. I feel like Gaddock T against Jesse's deck is just insane. Like it if you get it on turn 2 or something like that, it forces Jesse to naturally draw his combo. There's Gaddock Teague there. So non-creature spells converted mana cost 4 or greater cannot be played, and non-creature spells with converted or with excellent mana cost rather also cannot be played. So true epitome of a hate bear, I guess you could say. He's a 2/2 for 2 that just says no to a lot of stuff. It looked like Josh was bringing in Stony Silences, potentially. And if that is the case, I feel like he'll be a little bit disappointed with that option because Jesse's win con, if I'm not mistaken, is no longer Walking Ballista. He's changed his win con to become Ronus, which does not it's not an artifact, so it doesn't matter if it's if you can't use artifacts. Jesse doesn't use any other artifacts in his deck either, so I feel like if Josh did in fact bring that in, it's gonna be a dead card if he finds it. So again, I'm not too sure if Josh did in fact bring in Stony Silence. It was in one of his piles, and again, I think it was in the pile going into his deck. So again, a little bit awkward there, but the early versions of this deck, and I'm sure some versions now still have their main win con focusing on Walking Ballista with infinite mana because it is just game over. But Stony Silence beats that, but a lot of them now are switching over to Ronus. Even more, I believe, are switching into like the Night of the Reliquary type packages with Kessig Wolfrun to just use the land to make your guy giant instead. Basically, all of them involve some giant creature. So, all right, heading into game 2 again. Jesse will have the play this game. It is helpful to have that, so we'll see how this works. He's got a Court of Calling, a Vizier of Remedies, I believe a Collected Company. The only thing he's missing here is a turn 1 Mana Dork. So he doesn't have that. Josh, on the other hand, has, I believe, 3 copies of Leonin Arbiter. He also has 2 Forests, and I believe a Razor Verge Thicket. There's the 4th Arbiter. All right. So we're not searching decks this game. Got it. We figured it out. Jesse will, on Josh's first end step, go ahead and sacrifice that Windswept Teeth. It's good he's doing it now before the Arbiter comes down to say no for the rest of the game. Jesse will go to 19. Josh gonna have an Arbiter next turn, that's for sure. Jesse here with a Brushland and Devoted Druid, so he has the combo. Okay, Rest in Peace. That's also a strange sideboard choice here. It stops a Turn of Witness, which is nice, I will say. Yeah, this is game. Make infinite mana, Court of Calling, go get Ronus. Use infinite mana to make Devoted Druid infinitely big and attack for infinite. Assuming that he has Court of Calling. I thought I saw one. There's a Collected Company for sure, but... So, here is Collected Company being used. Knight of the Reliquary and Eldrazi Displacer will be the choices. We're going to have... Yeah, there's a Court of Calling. I don't know what he's deciding on so much here. He has the win in his hand. Okay, Eternal Witness will get Collected Company, sure. I don't know why we're going through all these steps. Collected Company again. finds Displacer and Devoted Druid. Does Jesse think that... I'm not sure what he thinks. Kitchen Finks. Yeah, this just seems a little... He didn't need to do this. Oh. Okay, I wasn't aware he still played this combo. Okay, I wasn't aware he still played. Yeah, it's true. He might have sided into this combo instead. I was talking to Jesse Sunday after our qualifier tournament. Why what? Like I was talking to Jesse on Sunday after our tournament, and he was mentioning he wasn't a fan of playing this combo in the deck. Oh yeah, I have no idea. Like he might have sided it out, but that seems totally incorrect if that's the case. Like this is still essentially game over. Like Josh can't beat Infinite Life. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like if Ronus is still in the deck, like that was a much easier turn than he made it look. Assuming Ronus is still in his library, all Jesse had to do there was show him Court of Calling and say, "I'm getting Ronus, you're dead." But again, he might have sideboarded out the Ronus, which I think sideboarding into a graveyard-based combo package, if that's what he did, is really, really risky against a Hate Bears deck. Hate Bears is it's going to have its sideboard built to just hate on combo decks more than its main deck already does. And like you saw Josh there, he had in his hand Rest in Peace he drew on the turn before he died, but he decided to go ahead and play the Arbiter instead, which, I mean, again, if Jesse still had in Ronus, that would have let him obviously go get Ronus, which would have still ended the game, but yeah, I don't know. I agree with you there, Adam. Like, that seemed like it probably could have been a much easier turn, assuming again that we still have Ronus in our library post board. I can't see why you wouldn't. It's an easier combo to go off with. It doesn't require anything. That's what we were talking about. We were saying, you know, if you don't like having all the moving parts, which is perfectly fine. Yeah, I can't imagine we did, but I don't know. The way that Jesse played, maybe he was just showing off. I don't know. Yeah, I don't imagine. Yeah, that's my thought. Maybe he's just showboating. But all right, Josh will start things off here with a land and an Aether Vial. I don't know why my camera is so out of focus all of a sudden. What is happening? Camera, get back in focus. I'll have to try and get that camera back. What is it doing? Why did it do that all of a sudden? Weird. And Rest in Peace came down turn 2. So Josh has set up the ability to just turn off the infinite life gain combo in Jesse's deck, which I assume is still there. Hold on, can I... Let's see. There we go. We're back to focus. Good. Cool. Jesse here, going to go ahead and sacrifice a Verdant Catacombs. Josh just has in play a second Aether Vial now. Jesse is fetching in response. Josh will go ahead and activate his Vial. He'll do nothing with it. Jesse will go ahead and fetch. Oh, I'm a little bit curious as to why Josh felt the need to activate Vial there. It wasn't going to do anything regardless. In hand for Josh, we have I believe there's a Mirren Crusader, a Wrath of God. I believe that's a Valorous Stance and a Loxodon Smiter. I might be wrong on the Valorous Stance. I can't see the art 100%, but so here is another reliquary. So Jesse going to be down to what, 17, 16? Yeah. Josh going to go ahead, counters on both vials. So we have 1 on 3, 1 on 1. The 3 is the important one right now with the way Josh's hand is lined up. The draw for the turn was a copy of Leonin Arbiter. A little bit late, but there's the Knight. Better late than never, as this does still let him slow down the Nether Reliquary itself. Oh boy, Josh can just go ahead and... Or sorry, Jesse can just go ahead and Ghost Quarter off one of Josh's lands if he wants. I think I would have snapped off that Ghost Quarter. Oh, Jesse has Coco, never mind. Jesse's in a different spot entirely. That makes sense. Yeah, I feel like it is. I don't know. Like we were talking about it after the tournament on Sunday, and he was saying, like I said, because the one game he played, he went infinite but just couldn't win, and ended up losing the game because he didn't have an actual win con in his deck other than Knight plus Kessig Wolfrun with infinite mana. Or Wolfrun with infinite mana, basically. But I was talking about him kind of saying like it's a little bit awkward not having, like a Ronus or a Walking Ballista or something like that. And we were talking about it, and he said he doesn't like the Ballista part of it. He doesn't like the Viscera Seer part of it either. He said he doesn't like having a 3-part combo. I said, well, then play Ronus. It's a 1-part combo. You just go get with Court of Calling and end the game anyways. But, yeah, he's playing the Nether Reliquary version. He seems to like it more, so... Here's an attack for 4. Jesse will take that and fall to 12. And Josh will pass back here, so... So Jesse's Collected Company got him an Eternal Witness and a Kitchen Finks. So Jesse's actually at 14. The Eternal Witness, no value, of course, thanks to Rest in Peace being in play on Josh's side of the field. It really makes me wonder if Jesse did in fact side out his Ronus, can he beat a Rest in Peace? Like if his combo, I mean, I guess he can, but he has to it has to be on Kessig Wolfrun, obviously, right? He can't use Infinite Life anymore because Rest in Peace. So I believe Jesse has a second Collected Company in hand that he is looking to set up this turn. There is a Court of Calling that he can at the moment pay. He can use for 2. So he can go find his Devoted Druid, and again, he already has in his hand the Vizier of Remedies, if I'm not mistaken. So he does have infinite mana access next turn. Doesn't currently have red mana, but the Knight can fix that. Okay, Noble Hierarch comes down, that's fine. This is an attack for 5. Jesse, I imagine, just going to take this. He doesn't need to worry. Again, if I'm not... He also has Coco in his hand, so he actually has a lot of answers here. I feel like he does just win this turn, though, right? Like, you just take this hit, you get to Cord, you pay the 2 extra, you still get to Cord for 2, which goes and finds Devoted Druid. You play Vizier of Remedies, make infinite mana, pay 2, sacrifice your Overgrown Tomb, go and find whatever you want. Go find your Stomping Ground. And win, right? Like that's how this goes. Jesse will pay a life to Path to Exile the Smiter, or is he pathing the Arbiter here? He didn't need to, right? Okay, yeah. He passed the Arbiter. Josh pays for the Arbiter's ability to go and search through his library. Isn't the Arbiter already gone once he gets pathed? Okay, so this is still an attack for 5, which Jesse still has to decide what he's doing about. Like, we're in the exact same spot, we just save a mana. Which I don't think is really that important. You can also, like, block. Sure, whatever. Yeah, so block with Eternal Witness. Okay, turn was down. No surprise there. Here's Court of Calling for 2. Valorous Stance is not castable right now. Marian Crusader doesn't matter. Wrath of God is a sorcery. So this should be game still. Jesse just again has in hand Vizier of Remedies, so that's enough to make infinite mana. When combined with Devoted Druid, Kessig Wolfrun will get turned on thanks to Knight sacrificing Overgrown Tomb and finding Stomping Ground. And then we have an infinitely large attacking Knight of the Reliquary, or even Kitchen Finks if you'd like, with Trample. Josh would need exactly Path to Exile, which at the moment he does not have in his hand. Court is also exiled, so there's that. Vizier of Remedies. Yep. Josh knows the game's over. He's gonna make Jesse go through the motions to make sure that Jesse does in fact go for it. Josh is gonna go ahead and activate Aether Vial on 2, asking if Jesse wants to respond. Jesse says no effects, and Josh says, okay, you're good, nothing comes into play. Devoted Druid resolves, we make infinite mana. Jesse, what are you taking on? Just end the game. Just go find Stomping Ground and win. He's going to put out a Displacer, I guess just for protection purposes. But I mean, if Josh didn't have an answer to the Druid when the Vizier came down, it didn't have anything, I feel. So Jesse with Eclectic Company in hand, but that just doesn't matter. Okay, sure, Coco. Yeah, but he has the Knight to go find Stomping Ground. He doesn't, like, he can't make red right now, you're absolutely correct, but all he has to do is sacrifice his Overgrown Tomb, and then he can. So this is, I mean, Jesse, again, he's playing safe here because he wants to make sure he doesn't get caught. But yeah, that's going to be the game, right? So here's the Knight, sacrifice Temple Garden. Like, I agree he should have attacked with 2 creatures here, though. I don't know. It doesn't. Like, the Knight's not contingent upon the land going to the graveyard. It's not like Helm of Obedience or something like that, but yep, okay, even gets Harpulsion Forest instead, sure. Same thing. Pay a life. And win. I will say, however, that this line does leave him vulnerable to a single Path to Exile. Because he couldn't actually attack with the Druid. Although he could, because the Druid can attack himself again and just go infinite again. So he should have attacked with the Druid. He might have. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Jesse does win in the end of it all, so congratulations.